What's up, everybody? I'm Aslan Hajavandi. He is Michael Langston, recruiting analyst for Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. Use the promo code 30 for 3 days of access to the website. Michael, when we bring you on, obviously we're talking about recruiting because that's your thing. Florida State ended their week this previous week on quite the bang, getting not one but two recruits on both sides of the ball, both at positions of need, I guess you could say. Let's start with the more recent of the two recruits, or the commitments rather. Let's talk about Jordan Eubanks out of the Lone Star State of Texas, a guy that you project probably will play linebacker. How was the staff able to secure a commitment from a kid in the state of Texas, and what do you kind of see from him and expect that he'll bring to this program?
Right. He's a guy that they have been working on for a little bit as far as they offered him in, I believe, March. But even before then, they were evaluating. This gave him a chance to, fully evaluate Jordan. I think Coach Norvell was very excited about him. Coach Fuller was really thought the fit was everything that they're looking for. He's a guy that's kind of rose up the as far as in the recruiting circles went. I think he picked up like 14 offers in the last month. So he's got over 20 offers now. So he was a guy that his stock was rising. I think his stock will continue to rise. Where you're looking at more than likely a 4-star prospect when everything shakes down. When people get a chance to see this guy consistently, he's a striker at the safety position or hybrid position. Can play outside linebacker, which I think that's where he'll match up with the FSU. What I love is just his instincts around the football. Can just explode through his tackles and cause turnovers and just cause a lot of creative havoc. Jordan had told me that he's more than likely going to play the hybrid position or the boundary safety and mostly with outside linebacker. I think that's where kind of FSU envisions him, outside linebacker, guy that blitzes, guy that can cover running backs and tight ends. I think that's where FSU looks at him. Chris Thompson, obviously from the state of Texas, kind of got their foot in the door with that at first. Then Chris Marv quickly jumped in, and that was like probably earlier this year But Jordan had told me he's got a really good relationship with Marv and really hyped up that relationship. And then also Mike Norvell is from, born and raised in Dallas, Texas. So he knows that area, knows people, there's knows connections. So I think obviously the state of Texas is going to be a place that they really rack up. Obviously, I think they got Hunter Washington already this year, a 4-star cornerback, or defensive back. So I think you're going to hit Texas hard, and I think this is only just the start of guys that they're trying to push for in the state of Texas. But when you look at what this kid's game is, he fits exactly the type of players that Adam Fuller wants as far as hybrid and can do multiple things, not just outside linebacker and run around and tackle people, but a guy that can cover people, a guy that you could put in multiple situations.
Right on. All right. Well, we can also look at the offensive side of the ball for some guys that are, I don't want to say hybrid, but at least dynamic athletes, at least out on the perimeter. And things started for Florida State on Friday with the commitment of Joshua Burrell out of the state of South Carolina. We talked about him a little bit, but obviously, I guess, catch some people up on, how Florida State was able to bring him into the fold and in his game. And listen, I know, again, that it's important for these kids to get on campus and to visit. He's one of the guys that was able to get on campus before the pandemic kind of took grip of the entire nation. But, I mean, just not only to have him on campus, but to be able to keep that relationship going despite the fact that, we got to deal with everything we're dealing with, quiet period, things like that. I mean, that's got to say a pretty good bit about this staff to be able to maintain that relationship throughout the ups and downs of what's going on in the larger world.
Right, and that's kind of what I've alluded to several times, in different times we talked to Aslan, is just they're going to win kids that when they get the relationships, they feel like they can beat anybody. And this is one of those situations where they really developed a relationship with this kid in Joshua Burrell, and they didn't let up, and then they really showed what makes their program special about what they're going to do and how they're going to do things, and their dedication to helping you as a person and developing you as a person, not just developing you as a player. and it's just a different thing than a lot of other schools. And as far as how they handle things, it's very personable. It's very the players, the recruits feel like it's more than just football when these coaches are recruiting them. Because they're talking about personal stuff that they don't talk about anything. So I think that was a big thing with Joshua, but also a big thing too, the fit into this offense. He's a big physical receiver, gets his separation because of physicality. The kid catches everything. I mean, he's got hands like I think Kenny Dillingham said he's got massive bare hands as far as when you watch him. He just snags everything, and the way he snatches the ball out of the air and just the one-handed catches really jumped out to me when I really started studying Joshua's game. And I think the big thing is FSU made him such a priority both on and off the field that it didn't really matter when he decided. He's like, you know what? I might as well decide now because there's no other visit or no other offer that's really going to change my mind as far as what I like and what stands out to me. So I think the relationships, they really hammer those down. Kenny Dillingham did a tremendous job. I actually did a Q&A with Joshua the other day on Saturday, which was pretty fun. And before I started, Joshua said, "Hey, Mike, I watched you and Aslan's video of me in the YouTube breakdown. You were spot on." So apparently Joshua conversed that, the strengths and the weaknesses that we pointed out on his, game as far as FSU getting the commitment was very good. Like I said, not a burner, but a guy that gets separation with physicality. And you need those type of receivers in this kind of offense. So, Joshua gave this stamp of approval there, but we just talked, and you could tell there was such a personal relationship with Dillingham. There was certainly a personal relationship with Coach Dugans that his connection with the staff as a whole felt like he was already within the program. So I think this is probably a commitment that's been done for a while.
All right, Michael. So, unfortunately, I read YouTube sometimes, which no offense to you people posting on YouTube, but sometimes you got some really flaming hot takes that might not be, well seasoned, but they're hot. But, you got to get some seasoning on the takes. Yeah. Both of these prospects, and I think maybe Burrell's case is maybe a little bit more relevant, but, some people point out, obviously, they look at the stars. A guy like Burrell, I think they say that maybe his stock is slipping. I mean, what would you say to people that are cynical, that are hung up on things like stars and might, postulate or theorize that a guy like Burrell's stock is slipping for whatever reason? Really sharp kid, by the way. I think he's got like over a 4.0 GPA. I mean, right. So that'll help.
Yeah, I don't pay a lot of attention. And I'll be honest, I know what I work for. I know I work for Warchant. I know I cover recruiting. But I've told people this from the start. I never pay attention to what the Rivals ranking is or what any star ranking is for a kid. I focus on, I get the game film. I really study what I see. Can this guy fit into what FSU does? Is this guy an explosive player that can be developed at FSU? And that's what I look for. I don't really focus on, the stock and, people dropping. I mean, the thing is like when you start the season, these stocks fluctuate. They go up and down with these kids. Obviously, when kids are getting tons of offers like, Joshua Burrell that already has the amount of offers he has and the amount of attention he has, it's nice. But the most important thing for me when I look at these guys is I have to do my job. I'm going to look and study what film I see. What do I see that's weaknesses? What do I see that's strengths? Whether that's Eubanks or Burrell, I look at the strengths and weaknesses. Plus, I want to see how they fit into what FSU is going to do. Do I see this guy really emerging in this kind of system with what FSU is going to run based on what I've seen, what Coach Adam Fuller is going to do on defense, and then based on what I've seen Coach Dillingham do on offense? When you watch those things and you break all the film down, you see the characteristics of why they like these guys and what stands out of these guys and how I feel these guys are going to excel in this offense. I know people get hung up on the 3 stars and stuff like that, but as I told you before, it's freaking May, guys, with the rankings. These rankings change fluidly, consistently, almost to a monthly pattern where people get to see more of these prospects in person. People get to see more of these guys, how they develop, because each kid develops, changes every year. There's going to be a higher upside to what their game is from a junior to a senior year. So I think you're going to see that, and we've seen that many a times happen. So I wouldn't get caught up on the rankings in May, because it's just a start of rankings. This is basically a platform of, okay, this is what our opinion is of what we see in this kid right now. But it's going to change. It always does.
All right, Michael. Well, then with 2 commitments and, one day and then a weekend to maybe, make some phone calls or, do what you can in these limited opportunities. What lies ahead for Florida State? And I guess what do you got cooking for us on warchant.com coming up this week?
Well, I think there's a good chance they're going to have some good news on Monday with tight end Jackson West and announces his decision. I think there's several guys still that possibly could, pop out later on, like Destin Pazan, a wide receiver out of Louisiana, tight end Michael Trigg. Obviously, defensive back Cameron Grays is another one, to watch. And then I'm monitoring heavily, believe it or not, another transfer in Jerian Jones, a defensive back who stated that he's
I thought he was going to Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's what everyone thought. But I've heard that it's not, the recruitment's not completely done. So I've heard that FSU is that he's reaching, or he's talking to them in some capacity, but I don't know how much. But that's what I'm monitoring, because I think something's going to happen either Sunday or Monday. So he's a guy that we're monitoring. Obviously, for people that have been under a rock, Fabian Lovett, defensive tackle, signed with FSU, which is basically a grant aid sign to take care of your schooling the first time when you get there, first month you get there. So he will be, looks like, enrolling at FSU. Now, when he enrolls, that'll make it official. That's how transfers work. It's more when guys enroll, then they're locked in. So, so that's kind of a thing. Those kind of things I'm monitoring. Now, what I've told people, I kind of gave this vote, Aslan. I let people vote. I said, you either want a third batch of new targets or do you want a hot board? And unanimously, a lot of them want a full hot board. So I've been working on a full hot board. I just got finished with the offense. I'm not putting pressure on Ira to put it up either, but I just got finished with the offense. It's extensive. It's very detailed. I'm sure Ira's going to be kind of doing it like we did before, releasing it by positions, maybe a few positions together. So I'm working on I'm going to start working on the defense either both today and Monday, and hopefully get that done in the next few days. But we'll have a big hot board that covers, over 70 recruits, so there's going to be tons of stuff and tons of information in there. It's the most detailed thing that I do on Warchant when we do these hot boards, because it takes a lot of time. It's time consuming, but it's also very informational, and it tells kind of where things are at. And then after that, I'm probably going to, start, thinking about, doing stuff on maybe some 22 prospects, just to see how things are going. Not a hot board, but just kind of maybe level some guys to watch, for
some spring tour stops maybe for 2021. Right?
Yeah, it could be, but I'll start working on that, and just, I'm trying to do different things that we haven't done before. Maybe do some features on, guys that have got offered, which ones, if I had to pick out of all the new offers, which one is the big one to watch or whatnot. But I'm getting feedback on you guys. So you guys are on Warchant. If you have a suggestion, you can post it on Warchant, tag me, and give me your thoughts. And, because we want to do what you guys want to see. We want to give you what the people want, right. And so just if you got a suggestion, either email me or put it on the site, and we'll see if we can get it done.
Michael Langston, man of the people, joining us here on this edition of Warchant TV. Also going to be on Wake Up Warchant. So thanks so much for your time as always, Michael. Take care, man.
You got it.